Hello there. Hi, Ben.
Hello, hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I
so
don't
how's the conference? You guys went to the KubeCon, I think it was?
Sorry, I didn't have audio on. You're saying?
Oh yeah. I said how's you guys were at a conference last week, right?
I should have gone, but I was unfortunately sick, so I couldn't go.
Oh,
I think everything, but I was sick, so I couldn't go.
yeah. No, I think a
But
lot of people are getting sick. I was actually
yeah.
sick on Friday.
Hmm.
And then my manager was sick last week. And then I have a couple friends in the UK that were sick. So I'm just like, what is going on? So yeah,
It's
something's definitely going
European.
around. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a colleague who was on KubeCon, and he was actually sick when he came back. So
Oh, really? Okay. Wonder if the flu shot variant just got like missed or something.
maybe something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean.
Hello.
You.
Good.
Nice to see you. So we get started soon.
Yep. Sounds good.
Just sharing my browser window first. Hope you see it. So who's here? You're here, Ben. Great. I'm here as well. Right, nowadays. Just one. So we're still not in daylight savings mode in Europe.
Yeah, when is that happening, by the way? Is that
It's
next week
weekend, the
or
coming weekend.
cool.
Last Sunday in March. I think the rule is last Sunday in March in Europe and
Got it.
in the US. So it will happen now. Okay, should we wait for more people? Maybe not. I know Andrea will not join. He's on holidays, so he will not come. So let's
All right.
clicking anyway. No new attendees. No action items that I have anything to report on, at least. Shortly about coming meetings next week. We have a public holiday in Sweden next Monday, Easter holiday. I don't know about you guys, but I know also that Andrea is also off.
Oh, okay.
So we need to cancel that meeting then, I guess. Of course, you could meet and talk without me and Andrea, that's no problem, but maybe it doesn't make too much sense if none of us are here to follow up the discussions anyway. So I propose we cancel next week, but then the week after we will have it as usual, but then it's also a new time slot. So back to the original time slot, or your time, I guess, or what you're used to. So then we have a enter daylight savings time all over the world. And this is the time. I hope this makes sense to you when you look at this time. That is the time slot you would expect it to be. For me, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's how it's normally done. You will have something else, of course. So, we talked briefly about the KubeCon there in the beginning, and I said I had intended to go and I had my ticket ready, but I caught a flu just some few days before I should go, so I couldn't leave. Couldn't go there, unfortunately, so I needed to stay at home. And I haven't heard much actually from people being there. I know there were 12,000 people in Paris on KubeCon,
Wow.
so quite a massive event in a way. But none of you were there, right, Sean or Ben? So
No, that is enormous. That's kind of
yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
it is. I think when it was in Detroit, was it last time in New York, in North America? I think it was like 9,000 people or something.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
so that's a huge event anyway. No, but I don't have any takeaways really myself. So I was hoping someone else would join that knew anything. But I know that Andrea had a presentation about Tekton and secure supply chains in Tekton, where he also mentioned CDEvents, but the recording is not yet published as far as I know. So I haven't watched it.
Oh, interesting. So is that events that CDEvents is interested in publishing, or like what does that mean?
Yeah.
I guess that talk.
I can. Oh no, not this way. Sorry. Where is the my sketch? Please be with me now. Maybe this way I can go there. Because I have it had it prepared in my schedule for KubeCon, but I couldn't use it then. Let's see where this. Here it is. So I can also paste this in the
Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
home here, so you can find it yourself, because the presentation material is here as well.
Okay, cool.
So you can read all about it there. I believe Andrea used the artifact events in CDEvents there to propagate some information about that is important for the supply chain. But I would expect that we can see more about it in the video when it's released on YouTube. So that's about that. Shout out about the MVC award. I hope you have voted. Last call was actually last Friday, but I just heard from the voting officers or the award officers that it's okay to vote now, but I will say after this meeting to them that we can close the voting. So unless you've already voted, please do it now. And then some mentioning about what has been happening in the spec repo recently. So as you know, the tickets PR was merged and the links PR was merged after a long time. Thanks, Ben, for being up with us. And then also the custom events PR that Andrea prepared for adding more information about how to deal with custom events, with the namespacing there about the event types and those things. And also the schema URI is part of that change, or addition. So those are recently added, and that leads us into that we would like to make a release very soon. I think we talked about that last time as well, that we should now try to release 0.4 as soon as possible. We do have some outstanding things though that were planned to be part of 0.4, which are seen here. So all of these issues were connected or related to the 0.4 release once upon a time, but obviously all of these will not make it there. So, but anyway, I would like to sync up with Andrea when he's back from holidays on what things from this, if any, we should actually include, or if we could cut the release without most of these things. So I have that on my list. I can maybe write it down as well.
Yeah, the biggest one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just saying, I think you saw my recent PR just to fix a couple words in the ticket.
Right. Yes, of course. So that's there as well. I can open that. I approved it myself, but it needs to be approved by more people, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
So Ben, maybe this is a very
Yeah.
simple thing. It's just some typos or updates of the text. So
Too cool. All
I would say, Ben, if you would approve this, then we can merge it right away. We don't need to wait for on this one. Thanks, Sean, for making that.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Approved. Simple wording.
So I'll have that as an action on me now.
Yeah, the big thing that I want to talk about out of those items in the milestone is actually the secure software chain aspects.
Yes.
The reason why is this is so I've been now meeting weekly with we call the basically security folks here at Apple,
Mhm.
and they're really interested in exploring more, what might be missing. I already pinged Andrea about like zero trust, how that plans to be solved, and he mentioned that that might be a problem that cloud events need to solve, not necessarily CD events. I'm just kind of curious what this all entails. If this is just the SBOM field, or if there's more that is supposed to be here. Because there's definitely, when you say secure software chain, supply chain aspect, like, that's a very broad term. So I'm just kind of curious what was expected to be included. Well, I guess there's a follow-up here. So
Yeah, I don't. I guess one reason for creating it that vague is that we probably didn't really know by then, at least.
got
I
it.
wouldn't
Yeah.
know today either exactly what to include to make it. I mean, as you say, there are so many aspects we can look into for secure supply chain, but the SBOM is one, and that is the first one, which is now also merged.
Yes.
That's part of it now. But I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, from this older ticket, there is SBOM then, but also signature and artifact verified event. But these, the signature is there, right?
Yeah.
Is
I
it?
don't.
Oh, maybe I'm doing this.
I think scanned is there, but signature is like
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have any artifact verified, for example. So we have
Yeah.
that event is missing. So that's maybe one example of things that could be added later on as part of this issue here.
Got it. Okay. So
What else? Let's see. Yeah, the sign predicate. Yeah, here it is. So the sign predicate was there in this pull request. So
okay.
artifact signed.
Oh yeah, I guess okay. Yeah, we have too many S's. All right, signed. So we have signed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then what else? Yeah, I don't know. But let me put that question to Andrea as well. Or we can maybe actually write it here in this. Why not?
Yeah. And then what I can do too is because we have a huge document on this. Like we started writing it, I think like 3 weeks ago. What I can do is I can go through that document, see what is missing, and then create GitHub issues around what we need. And then if it makes sense to put it in CDEvents, we can do it. Or if that needs to live in cloud events, for example, I can start talks over there as well. But I don't know. I don't know if that, because there was a GitHub issue for cloud events about zero trust, and it seems like there hasn't been too much movement on it. So kind of curious to see.
So yeah, I'm thinking if we should maybe reach out to the OpenSSF community a bit on this topic as well to see. I think that was done like a year ago. We had some discussion with them, or maybe it was even earlier. And since then, I'm not sure if we have had any communication really with them dedicated
Okay.
topic. So I think that would make sense to to actually have again. And maybe actually it could be so that Andrea did talk to people in KubeCon last week about this.
Good point. Yes.
So we'll see. But maybe he could answer on this comment now anyway.
Yeah, sounds good.
For bringing it up. And hi, Jalander, by the way. Welcome to the meeting.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, that was actually the last topic I had added before the meeting. Obviously, there could be other things to talk about. Anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, actually, there was something I wanted to ask. This is probably not going to be an issue for us, but I was kind of curious. Were you guys aware that Cloud Events has a size limit of their payload? Part of the spec?
No.
Yeah, apparently, well, it's really large. It's like 67 kilobytes or something like that. But I was kind of curious if we took that into consideration for, for various things. So yeah, I was in the spec when I saw it. Let me actually find it again, because I could have been also hallucinating. So
No, you're probably right. Maybe we didn't see it as a problem, or we didn't even see it. I can't really say. It doesn't ring a bell to me anyway. So
got it. Okay. Because that's definitely something, if it once I find it, if I didn't hallucinate it and it turns out that
size thing. Yeah.
yeah, there is a size limit there, we probably want to, oh, there it is. Yeah. We probably want to,
But that's massive. Anyway, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is definitely massive, but my worry is, if people are, sending like, the full artifact in the payload for whatever reason, like as custom data or something like that, we just need to explicitly call that out somewhere, I think, because like I said, it kind of caught me by surprise as I was looking at CDEvents when I was going through the security stuff. I was just like, wait, why is there a 64 kilobyte limit on the payload? And like I said, it is large, but if we don't call that out and people are trying to use it for, like I said, sending artifacts or sending some sort of extra data that they weren't, that, people weren't planning, that can definitely get problematic, right?
What happens if it's larger than? But if someone tries to send a larger event, what happens?
I have no idea. I don't know. I think if it were me, I'd probably put these in the SDKs, right? But I don't know if this is a necessity that the SDKs need to follow, or if they're just like, hey, this is just good practice, right? So that's what I was gonna ask and see if you guys knew more about this limit, and kind of see, just whatever.
I don't. I would expect that the CloudEvents SDK itself would have some kind of
Limit,
check.
yeah.
But well, I couldn't say. So, but it's anyway. We noted. Do you think we should take some action on it, or what do you think? To follow?
I don't know as of yet. Like I said, because I definitely think it's a good call out. I think we need to at least document it to say that, in our readmes, in our primers, or in our SDKs, even somewhere that specifically says that, there is a payload limit.
Yeah, makes sense. So should we add it to the primer or to the SDKs themselves, or where should we add it?
I think it needs to be both, right? Well, potentially both. At least definitely in the primer, because people that are investigating CDEvents as potential solutions, or like use cases, they need to be aware of this, right?
Yeah. So let me write issues about this. That would
Okay.
be fine. Yep, could do that. Thanks for noting, because yeah, it's of course good. Maybe along with this, at least in the primer, we could, of course, state something then about, well, how should we then handle cases where people want to send such huge events, and then refer them to I mean, providing links to that information instead, or some kind of references, if possible. So yeah. Good. Yeah. Thanks for that, Ben.
Yeah, no problem.
You add the webhook adapter that is merged there.
Yes, Emil, I just added. So I had a discussion with Andrea. This is added. I'm working on the Gerrit translator on the first implementation out of this. So, so even that is the PR is also up for the review. So I mean, like initial PR with few events that I've created to start the discussion, and yeah, so at least to have the things corrected, so I can add more events to the same PR, or I can create another PR. Yeah. So this is another.
Is there already code that could be demoed for this, or how far away is that, Jalander, to show how this would work in practice?
Yeah, so I have actually, so I can demo. Yeah, so this have a working piece of code, so where I'm testing the changes with Gerrit, that is translating using webhook adapter. So that is there. Yeah, probably I can meet the next. Is it fine? Like if I give on the next
Next meeting? Yeah.
CDEvents meeting. Yeah.
Sure. Because that
Cool,
would be
and-
you missed the beginning there, but next Monday we won't have a meeting because me and Andrea at least are away. We have a public holiday in Sweden at least, and so it will be in 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Or do you want to demo already now on this meeting? Do you have something prepared for that? Maybe not.
I'm not sure like things are working fine because it's been a couple of days I have created, but
That's fine. There's no rush, I guess, on this either, unless you want to have feedback urgently before it. But
maybe I can add a recording there, the PR, how it works at least.
yeah, sure.
Cool. And sorry I didn't look at this PR. Dude, I've been so crazy busy and on holiday as well, but I do have a little bit of comments on it. So I might just create GitHub issues if that works for you, Jalander, or maybe just like ping you on Slack as well on some things that I think they're like minor things. And also just kind of like some good practices with Golang as well. If that works for you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So either way works. And yeah.
Great, Ben.
Comments.
Thanks for helping out, Ben. That's perfect as well.
All right, cool.
Good. So anything else on that the webhook adapter then, Jalander, or?
Yeah, that's all with adapters, I guess. Yeah.
So Sean, did you have anything also to bring up, or?
I wanted to ask, now that I'm done with the ticket events, if there's any appetite for approval gate related events.
Approval gates.
Yeah. So in our workflow, we have like approval gates, at least one for, product approval, where basically the release needs to kind of pause until they get that approval and then it can resume. So thought it might be useful. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into this yet, but I thought it might be useful to get, approvals as like a first-class citizen in the.
Yeah, so me and Sean talked a little bit about this. When we were creating the ticket proposal, like we eventually ended up separating these two concepts out. Like Sean had said, I haven't also thought too much on it. But the always the big question for me, at least, is how do we envision tooling to handle such events? So I'll give you a few use cases that I had thought about. I think Sean as well. So the first one would be you have like a manual judgment or like like some sort of like approval in your whole CI/CD flow, right? So that would send out the approval event, and then I'm guessing some system, whether it requires approval from maybe actual human, or maybe it's some sort of automated system that needs to do the approval. That works too, but that's one use case. Another use case could be even just if you think about like the merged GitHub merged, like a merged event is essentially an approval event as well, right? So that's why I'm also a little, yeah, like I said, I'm still considering whether or not you know, it makes sense for CD events, but that's the use case that that I had thought about at least. So
yeah,
yes.
just my understanding that if we would consider the predicate would be approved in this case, I guess. But what is the subject really? Is it an artifact, or is it a ticket, or what is it that is approved? Or is it the product itself somehow? Or what is approved?
Yeah, I think that's yeah, definitely. I think it's just anything. So you would have to create, like, it would be something similar to like subject. Like you would have to have the subject being like you know, like some subject or some stage or in CI/CD in your pipeline required approval, call it stage foo, right? So that would be the subject. Like I said,
Okay,
I don't know if it makes sense. Yeah, sorry.
To finish a step in the pipeline. Is that, I mean, you have sometimes a manual approval to finish a step and go on to the next step. Okay.
But again, like I said, is that useful for CD events? Is kind of like the bigger question.
Yeah,
so that's where I kind of got stuck. Is like, is this useful for CD events? I'm like, I don't know. So yeah, that's why I wanted you know, me and Sean wanted to bring it back here, talk about it, get some ideas, and maybe Sean, you can give your use cases because you have you actually have use cases. I think that's like what his team does. So Sean, please expand on what I was saying, and I think that could at least give us some clarity on whether or not we need it in CD events.
Yeah, my use case that I'm thinking of is, I guess it would be for like an artifact that you're deploying. So the artifact gets built, it gets deployed to dev. Maybe there's some manual testing there, maybe there's some automated testing. It gets then deployed to like the beta or staging environment. There's more testing, more integration testing, maybe QA is looking at it there, maybe QA needs to approve. And then after QA approves, it needs to go to, say, product, where product needs to, you know, make sure that the features were implemented the way they want, and they need to approve, and then it can finally get deployed to production. So in that case, yeah, it is all tied to an artifact being deployed to various environments. It's being tested, but then yeah, there's still a manual like approval as the last step. Just trying to think if it makes sense to like tie that to like the artifact subjects.
Yeah, I'm thinking, how far away is this from a release, according to you? So I mean, a release decision is obviously often a manual thing. Why don't I get to the spec?
Would it also be, sorry, it could be also a second thing. It could also be environments, right, Sean? As you were saying with QA, could environments also be approved?
I mean, depending on your definition of an environment, I suppose. Like
that is true, yeah.
Like if you're spinning up QA environments for every release, then sure, that whole environment is approved. But we don't do that. We have like shared environments. So I don't think they'd be approving the environment, but more just that release or that artifact.
I'm a bit concerned. Didn't we have a artifact released already, or am I just mistaken there?
Oh, we had in continuous
something released, right? Didn't we? Is it on the artifact or no? It's downloaded.
Yeah, there are definitely some weird predicates. So
what was recently added?
So I guess services are deployed.
Scanned was added recently, I thought. Was it not?
Not service, no. For the artifact, we have these predicates.
Oh, okay.
Why am I thinking we had a artifact released or service released somewhere? Maybe I'm confusing that with something else. Anyway, well, to me it sounds a bit like a release decision. Such an approval would be kind of a release decision that could then trigger a automated deployment to prod or something. But we could for sure call it approved as well. That's maybe approved would be then a pre-step to a release, or the approval could be the manual thing, and then the release is actually what happens automatically once something is approved. Eventually.
Yeah. I was thinking if you wanted to make it like its own thing, you could have like approval requested, approval, I don't know, approval approved sounds funny, but approval rejected, approval accepted, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise tie it to a service or something. But I do think it has the potential to help with interoperability.
Yeah, I'd definitely be curious to understand more about the use cases specifically, and how this event is planned to be used. I know you gave the few use cases there, but at least getting some like real world, like I'll actually go back as well and ask, you know, the various teams that I meet with, you know, does this make sense? How do you see this fitting in your event scheme?
I do think that it does make sense to have an event notifying when some manual decision has been made, for example, this approval, and then to be able to calculate the duration until this has been rolled out to all
right,
something like that. So such kind of metrics we could have then by CDEvents saying that once something has been approved or released or whatever we call it, then the duration until it's fully deployed in production in all sites is this.
Oh yeah. I definitely think metrics is definitely useful, but you know, like I said, like when I consider CDEvents, I only consider it from first consider it at least from the interoperability, and if it doesn't fit there, then you know obviously metrics could be found elsewhere or you know gathered differently.
I think it could, for example, trigger a commit in a GitOps repo, which would then automatically deploy to all sites.
Okay, cool.
That's an interoperability use case, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think, you know, like, you know, I think it at least doesn't hurt to create the GitHub issue. So if there isn't already an issue, I think we should create one and at least start the discussion there and maybe outline a few of the ideas, Sean, that you have in consideration for this proposal, and kind of go from there. And then once we kind of iron out kind of like all the details, we can, or not all the, well, you know, just iron out more of the complex questions. We can probably start the proposal at that point if that works for you, Sean.
Yeah, that sounds good. And that'll force me to take a little more thoughtful look at my
approach. Yeah.
So I action you then, Sean, to write an issue about this.
Yep, that's cool.
And then another thing that I want to discuss too, since you brought up the page, if you go back to spec and go back to the CD, the continuous deployment events, here. One thing that doesn't make sense. So there's a few of these that don't really make sense to me. Rolled back is one of them, is because well, I guess rolled back, sorry, not rolled back. Upgraded doesn't make sense, nor does removed, because CD systems like Spinnaker, for example, do not know what someone is deploying other than very, very hot at a very high abstraction, right? So it's hard to know what was upgraded, what was removed. And anytime something's removed, it's always deployed. If something's upgraded, it's always deployed. So I was kind of curious, like how we expect CD tool. I'm unaware of any CD tools that would be able to send either of those two events. And then another one that I thought was really weird was published service published. It seemed like that was more of like a service like healthy, like I don't know, like if there's a better word for that, but like it just seemed like an odd because it's like checking to see whether or not the service is healthy, not whether or not it was published is like, to me, published is related to like deployed. Well, I guess it's kind of related, but it just seems a little odd of a name. So I was just kind of trying to understand the wording there.
I think that this explains it really. That it's not just deployed and running. It's also having a URL accessible published for it.
Right.
That services can use for consumption of the service. Other services can use for consumption of it.
Right.
It's not the case for all kinds of services, but for some it might make sense. Exactly how this would help in interoperability. Well, maybe if this service would be a test system or something, and once that has come up, then maybe a pipeline could continue running because it has some tests that needs that service to run or something, whatever. Maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't really considered this event type myself too much. I have never used an event type like this myself. We don't have it in Eiffel, and I don't really see currently in my work right now for a need for this, but I could imagine.
Yeah. I definitely think published makes sense. Like I said, the wording I thought was just weird, like service published, like it, but yeah. So I was just wondering, like, if it was meant to do more than, because it seems like it's more of a health check than anything else, or letting know that that service is healthy. But yeah, like I said, the removed and the upgraded, as a someone that works on CD tooling, I don't know if this is possible for even I haven't used TechTomp, but I don't think it would be possible for things like even Argo, Temporal, Spinnaker. These two predicates are impossible without like having a little bit more guidance from the user to say what it's doing. So I was kind of wondering like what if there is an actual need for these two, and if everyone's just going to use deployed, right? If everyone's just going to use deployed, then maybe it makes sense to kind of like remove, or at least remove these and then add them when they're needed, as opposed to adding them when no one's going to use them, right?
I can't really say I spent too much thought when approving this. I mean, we have multiple events that I have never considered using myself anyway in the spec, but I think at this stage it's perfectly fine to define events that not all of us might know how to use yet. But eventually, well, we should clean it up then, of course, if we don't see that anyone is using them, because we shouldn't upgrade and maintain things that are not used by anyone.
Right. But I guess my question is more of just, should we be adding things that, yeah, I guess, just kind of like, Occam's razor at this point, right? So, because like I said, like CD tooling as I know it right now cannot support these events. And I don't see them ever supporting them, to be honest. Because like I said, like this would require users to kind of dictate the type of deployment that they're doing, which very rarely, they're uninterested. And then a lot of the times, these deployments are happening by automated systems that have no context. So it becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah, I'm trying to see when this was done. Obviously, they were added for a reason, obviously. Can't say now really what that reason was, since I don't remember. And apparently they were there already 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think they were there part of the initial the initial events that were published.
From the
Yeah,
audit.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's why I was kind of wondering, like, are these actually needed? You know, so I really don't know. You know, when I was like thinking about it, like I was like, man, there would need to be a lot of work even in CDEvents just to get this concept to work or to send these events. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, if it makes sense to first remove them, or remove them early now, and then if it becomes requested when when people start using CDEvents, to add them later. So yeah, I don't know enough, because maybe Andrea has more what is it, more experience with Tecton. He might be able to shed some light. Maybe it's a specific Tecton predicate that he was thinking of. But yeah, like I said, for Spinnaker and Argo and Temporal, like these concepts are completely unknown.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine to question. I mean, any event, more or less. So eventually, we should probably review the whole set of events and see who uses this, and ask the community, is this really valid or not, and maybe make the use cases then, or the documentation for the use cases crisper and more describing exactly why
more concrete.
Why could it be needed, and in what relate? I mean, in interoperability or observability, or what kind of use case are we looking for?
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think that would be very, very helpful, because like I said, when I was reading this, I could not think like how this would work. I think that would make it a lot more clear, and I'm always for more documentation. And I think people reading, let's say if they read something and it might not be immediately clear to them, like how how they should be using this event, even though the words there, having an example, like I think makes that a lot more easier to digest.
Mm-hmm. So would you propose any action on this for us, or what do you think? How should we take this further?
Let me first let me create a GitHub issue to at least start the communications there. And then we can start figuring out, maybe this could be a generic just to overview and look at all the pre-existing event as well. But yeah, I'll create a simple GitHub issue about this, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's the less we have, the easier it is to maintain, obviously.
Yep.
Currently we tend to just add whatever people seem to see a need for, and then we more or less wait to see, are these really useful? Are they in use? Are they being used or not? And then we should, of course, review and clean up later on, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But at this stage of the definition of the protocol, I think it makes more sense to add more things, even though you might not have the use case fully clear for you. Because as soon as people start using it in practice, it could reveal that, well, this wasn't really useful, or this was actually very useful for others, and different scenarios.
Yeah. So I definitely think there is a difference here, right? It's more about, like, the event themselves could be useful, but if there's I don't see how feasible it could be for the tooling to support it, though. That's another aspect that we need to look at, right? So,
yeah, sure. And it could be so that GitOps kind of tools might not as easily support certain use cases as like hard-coded CD tools like Spinnaker or such, for example. So I mean, it could be different kinds of tools could support different kinds of events, maybe. And that's also something that would be good to document and maybe have some kind of best practice. Whenever we come to some reference architecture description with CDEvents in mind, we could maybe have such things in mind as well, to see, for a setup like this, it would make sense to send events like this, and for a setup like that, we could send this kinds of events instead, and whatever. Yeah, good. Good comments there. Really good. Anything else?
Not from my end.
I can take the last 10 minutes, but demo ML. So looks like my local setup is good. I just tested, so
go ahead.
So I'm not using for quite some days, so I thought like it's messed up with something, but yeah, so it looks good. So I can start sharing.
I should stop sharing. Sorry. Yeah. Now you can stop sharing.
Yeah, so this is about the webhook adapter, using webhook adapter for Gerrit translator. So we have a webhook adapter. So why I can't? Yeah. So yeah, this is the webhook adapter. So that is the first PR got merged. I think here we discussed about sorry, yeah, let me go to this first, like how translator works. So we have a webhook CDEvents adapter. So this needs to be changed. Yeah, so it's a webhook adapter. So it has an interface like event translator. So that will be implemented by different types of SCM control systems, like for GitHub, Gerrit, and GitLab. So anything if it comes. So now I have created a webhook CDEvents adapter. So that is completed. The first cut of the PR is merged. And I am working on the Gerrit translator to translate events from Gerrit that is received over webhook. So that will be received by this webhook adapter and will be translated by this Gerrit translator CDEvents plugin, and it will be sent to CDEvents broker. So that we will configure what brokers to send in the webhook adapter itself, and so the event will be landed on the cloud events broker. So this is the translation. It works here by using this webhook adapter. So so this is the webhook adapter page, the project basically, and this works like an adapter, and different implementations can be done. So one of the implementation that I've started is the Gerrit translator. This is the like created PR. So this review is going on. So I have created this PR like to translate a couple of events. So we have set of events there. So I have initially created PR to translate a few of them, and yeah, so yeah, this is the PR. So I have created initially to translate project created, project head updated, ref updated, ref updated. So these are the types from Gerrit events that we can see, and the corresponding mappings. So that will be translated from here. So this is it actually. So if you're going to the demo. So in my local, I have two containers here. This is a webhook adapter, and this webhook adapter I build a packaged Gerrit translator plugin within the webhook adapter. So because if we go to the code, we actually need to configure what plugins that I need to use in the configuration. So this is in the webhook. It's in the webhook adapter. So in webhook adapter, so I'll be configuring what is the Gerrit translator and what is the plugin URL that I will be downloading, and what is the message broker that it needs to send the event to after translation. But for now, I disabled the download and placed my plugins manually. This is the plugin implementation that I've created for Gerrit translator, and that is the project that the PR that I've created. So I built the plugin here and then manually placed here for testing now. But it will be essentially downloaded from the release URL from the Gerrit translator CDEvents and posted here. Yeah, so the container is created with this Gerrit translator inside. So, and I have a Gerrit code review. So this is Gerrit SCM is running. Yeah, so I have, let me open this logs. So when we open initially, so it will actually mention what port it is running and what is the translators it is currently serving on. So we can see. Yeah, just a minute. So there's some estimates. Yeah, so it's listening on 8080 and it is serving this translator plugin, Gerrit translator CDEvents on this endpoint. So by using this, so we can configure in the Gerrit translator in the Gerrit SEM to send all the Gerrit events to this endpoint, so that webhook adapter uh, can get all the events whatever is posted from Gerrit to webhook adapter, and webhook adapter will translate them into CDEvents. So if we go to the configuration from Gerrit side, so this is the configuration that I've made. So I have made this configuration at all projects level, so that it will be sending events for all the projects within my Gerrit. So if I go here, so this is the webhooks.config file we should be creating with the name, whatever it is, like Gerrit events, and what is the URL. Here it comes the endpoint of webhook adapter that is serving on for Gerrit specifically. So this we need to give here. So every events that is happening within Gerrit, so that will be posted to this endpoint, and internally webhook adapter will be translating that into that event into CDEvent. So we can see that demo in live. So I have repos here. So I have a cloud events player here, which just lists the events that is sent to the events broker. So as a first thing, so I'll just create one repository here. So that will go as like a project created from Gerrit. So it will be repository created in CDEvents. So I'll just do create new. So it's just demo. Yeah, so this is the project. The demo is created here. So if we see here, so we could see these are the events that are received. So actually repository created. Along with this, we will it will also create to branch whenever you create repository. So that's what it is just listing. So we could see the 3 events that is actually sent by Gerrit. So we could see from here. So the plugin is served after receiving each event. So the plugins are served and it exited for each of the requests or each of the event that is received. So and it sends to the URL, target URL that is configured. So that's it. We can see the events here, and we can have something else also. I mean, like we can create.
Could you look into the branch event, for example, there? Does it contain any reference to the repository that it was created in? Or how does the branch event look?
Yep. So actually, what was that, Emil? What was your question?
I mean, how could we know what repository this branch was created for? If you just get this event individually, you can't really see what repository it was from, right? In the event itself.
Yeah, so it
So
is from
somewhere.
Yeah, it is not a. I think we don't have that information, I guess. But yeah, so with the details that we are getting from a specific event, that is it's translating directly from Gerrit to CDEvent. Yeah, so but that information is missing in the event that is posted from Gerrit itself. I mean,
But
like
you
it
have the
doesn't say.
repository ID there. Shouldn't the repository ID rather be the repo? And now it seems to be the branch. Maybe it's just the wrong data put into that ID field there. In
On
your
the branch, on the branch created.
On the branch created, you had repository ID in the content, which should probably not
Yeah.
be a, because there is a branch name. It should probably be a repo name there instead, right?
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Probably. Okay, but anyway.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I will take a look at that. Yeah. And source also is here. It actually supposed to print. I mean the URL of the SEM Gerrit URL, but it's yeah. So this needs to be fixed as well. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely a
if
lot of
we-
progress though.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, if I create in CDEvents demo, so if I want to create a new branch here, so this is the branches I have. So I'll create a new branch saying that CDEvents branch.
And do you paste the raw payload that's being received in your translator?
Yes, I do. Yeah. It is yeah. So for this is for
Yeah, right there,
branch
project, right? Yeah, project could be the repository.
CDEvents demo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
We
cool,
get
cool.
from here. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I can use this in repository ID there, right?
And then you
Okay.
could probably
Yeah.
construct that URL you're talking about based off of all the information that you just received. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, cool.
Yeah. So
Are
yeah,
there plans to
looks-
support various broker types, or how does that work?
broker types, like it is only sending to any like it usually sends a post request to any address, so it needs not to be any broker as such. So if any broker that supports the post
Okay.
sending post receiving post requests, so it's all good.
Okay.
The
So it's just
broker-
supports-
The
Got it.
broker needs to support, basically the minimum required is the broker needs to support cloud events and CD events, basically, or just cloud events really.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think looks like we have all the data, so but only we need to think play with that, like fit in right things
Actually-
into the events.
Actually, it could be any broker. It doesn't even need to support anything. Now that I think about it, it could just literally be to answer your question, Sean. Yeah, it could be any URL. And it's per plugin as well, or per webhook tool. I don't know how to word that properly, but yeah. So that URL is per translator. So if you notice, there's an array there. So if you have another one. And then we also want to make message broker an array as well, because I could definitely see people maybe wanting to send to multiple brokers instead of just one as well. So we might need to make that an array.
Oh, so you mean like one translator sending it to multiple
brokers? Yeah.
Okay.
Especially like the big use case there, kind of going off this reasoning, is some teams, unfortunately, at Apple don't have access to everything. So they might need like a mirror of some events just to be able to do some things. And they might have a completely separate broker. Even if we had
that be handled by the broker infrastructure itself to federate to any list.
Maybe right. The team, the org could be completely. Well, the org could just have a completely different system, right? That they could just be like, hey, could you also send to this one, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Possibly. But that's the truth for all event producers then, not just this one, right? Any event producer can need to support that, unless the infrastructure for broking the messaging itself has support for federation.
Yeah, potentially. Well, that's definitely going to be use case here at Apple, or anyone that has basically disclosure like things, especially when you're dealing with any sort of government related things. No system, their systems are always completely independent of any system at all. So
but I'm thinking, shouldn't in this case then such messages be sent to a local broker, and then that broker could have configuration where it should federate to other brokers instead of actually doing that in each of the producer clients.
Right, but that would mean then whoever owns that local, maybe, right? Because the problem is that if it's completely, well, if the local broker, let me think about that some. Yeah, that is potential. I would have to think about it some more.
I guess you would also need some kind of authentication here towards each
yes,
broker,
yeah.
and then we need to have individual. Then it's not enough with just a list, and we need individual credentials probably for each broker as well.
Yeah, that's another thing security now I've been talking about is authentication. But the problem with like I said with using a shared broker is that whoever owns the shared broker would need to do some sort of configuration based off of, you know, whatchamacallit, based off of, you know, all the other attendees, which might be preferable. Like I said, I'm just kind of like saying like, you know, the pros and cons for either. So yeah, what we can do, Jolander, is maybe make this a GitHub issue, is think about how we want to handle, or this might not even be a webhook thing, it might be a CDEvents thing, is like what is the best way to handle sending out to multiple brokers, right? Like, should that be handled by a local broker or like some sort of proxy broker? Should that be handled by separate system brokers, which needs it to be an array? Maybe we even need both. Who knows, right? So so yeah, let's okay. What I'll do, well, there's really no repository other than the webhook one, because it doesn't really make sense for spec, because it's more about architecture. So
but you're the community rep as well, right?
Maybe, yeah, perfect. Okay, I will actually, Jolander, if you could, because I'm really slim on time or on the amount of stuff I could work on. So if you could create that GitHub issues on you know, handling multiple brokers, because that will help facilitate you know, and obviously this doesn't need to be addressed now, but I could definitely see people wanting to know what the best way is to mirror to across other brokers, essentially.
I see we're out of time, so maybe we should stop there. But great to see running demo, Jolander.
Yeah, it's great. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Cool. Looks promising.
Thanks. Yeah.
Good job, and talk to you next time.
All right, see you guys 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.